One of the most intriguing free agent decisions loom in the NFL over the next few months, as Tom Brady, the six-time Super Bowl champion quarterback of the New England Patriots, is set to become a free agent after this league year expires. Brady has said he does not want to retire. He says he feels he has more to prove, and he wants to play football in the NFL in the 2020 season. So his contract does come up with the Patriots, and in it states that it does not allow the Patriots to franchise tag him. So therefore, that means Tom Brady is free to control his destiny and play wherever he feels like he wants to play. So today, I'm going to run through the top 4 places I feel Tom Brady could play in for at least the 2020 season. I'm going to assess for their offensive weapons, their offensive line, their cap space and potential to bring in free agents and their trading potential, the stability of their head coach and the front office, and lastly, the location of where the team is. So the 4th team I think that Tom Brady could play for, I would deem them the long shot, is the Las Vegas Raiders. So looking at their offensive weapons, we have Josh Jacobs, Tyrell Williams, Hunter Renfrow, Darren Waller, and Foster Moreau. There's some good young pieces there to try and build a new offense with. There's no, I would say, A1 level players. There's no Antonio Browns. There's no Rob Gronkowski type players, which could be very intriguing to Brady when to play with an elite player. Their offensive line is above average, I would say. Colt Miller, Richie Incognito, Rodney Hudson, Gabe Jackson, and Trent Brown, they're pretty above average. You would think Colt Miller is a little more of a question mark, as we don't really know if he's a long-term answer. But again, for the right now, I think that offensive line is probably top 10 in the league. I think Brady would be very keen on playing with a very, very good, especially veteran offensive line. Their cap space and potential to bring in new players, I think is it's a very good plus for the Raiders. With roughly $60 million open to spend, they have the potential to bring in free agents, make some trades. They have that potential. They've shown ability to sign players, if that means to overpay, to get their guys into the team. So guys like Trent Brown, they spent a huge amount of money on just to make sure they had a solid right tackle. The trades are another real possibility with the Raiders. They have the extra first-round pick from the Khalil Mack trade, so they have ammunition to move around either in the draft or to get veteran players if they want to win right now. And they have prior history of doing so with bringing in Antonio Brown last season. They're showing that they're willing to take those gambles to go get a big-time player to make sure that they can be the best team possible. So again, with their coach and front office, I think it's a positive, depending how Brady views them. But with John Gruden, who signed a 10-year deal a couple years ago, and Mike Mayock brought in to kind of be the figurehead GM, I think that's a very good thing. You know, you're going to a team, there's no inconsistencies among the coach and the front office, as you think you're going to have the same dudes running the show for the next couple of years. And again, they've shown a good track record of drafting, and they brought in some good guys last year, and they've made some good decisions throughout to have a pretty good competitive young football team. And lastly, the location I think is a huge, huge selling point for the Raiders. Vegas, it's a new kind of city for the NFL to kind of really try and make it its own. I think for Brady, if he looks at it, he could be the complete face of the franchise for the Raiders. You'd have Vegas, it's a new team, they've been moving into a new arena. I think the ticket sales would go through the roof, and Tom Brady would be the focal point of the team. It wouldn't be John Gruden anymore. It wouldn't be Mike Mayock. It wouldn't be all these other young players. It would be Tom Brady as the face of the Las Vegas Raiders, sorry. So I think, again, it's more of a long shot, but they have some selling points and they have some positives that they could make for Tom Brady. So the third team I have here is the LA Chargers, with quotations around the LA part of it. So their offensive weapons, I think, are okay. I don't think there are that many, as it's Keenan Allen, who's a de facto number 1 receiver, and Mike Williams, who I think is a really good number 2. That's a good start, but they have multiple other impact offensive weapons are pending free agency, such as Hunter Henry, Austin Eckler, and Melvin Gordon. I think that really hurts their selling point, is if Brady was to sign there, and especially if he'd be taking about $25-30 million, there's not a lot of money for them to go back and re-sign their dudes they may lose. So I think that's a bit of a tough sell if he doesn't know who's going to be there when he goes. Their offensive line is average. Guys like Russell Okung, Dan Feeney, Questenberry, Forrest Lamp, and Schofield, they're not really solid. I'd say they're average, maybe top 20 maybe at best, but that needs some work. So either that's drafting or some key free agent additions. So again, their cap space, they have approximately $53 million to spend. So they have some potential to sign some veteran players, make some moves. Again, only owning 8 picks and no multiple high round picks, they don't have a ton of ammunition to move around and trade for players unless they want to sacrifice more of their future to try and win right now with a Tom Brady. Their coach and front office, I'd say, is very secure. With Anthony Lynn, a head coach, he's had some success. Tom Telesco, the GM, he's stable in his position. He's had some good history of drafting and bringing in solid quality players. Last year, I believe they had the most Pro Bowlers. They were a 12-4 football team last year until Phillip Rivers kind of had a bit of a decline in his production this season. So I think that front office and coaching staff is very set, that they're going to be there. That's a good selling point for Brady, knowing who's going to be there, who's going to be running the show. Again, lastly, I think the number one thing going for the Chargers is the location. They're moving into their new stadium in LA, sharing with the Rams. Brady is a California kid. He grew up there. I think that's a big draw for him. And again, it's, I think, a better lifestyle. There's a better weather. There's more abilities to brand, market, get your social media even higher, become that more of that mogul, kind of like LeBron did, where he went to LA to play basketball. But a huge draw was to go to Hollywood, go continue set up your after playing career. I think Tom could be looking at that. He knows he's kind of near he's on the 18th hole. He's on the twilight of his career. He knows he's only got a couple years left, so he's going to want to make the most of it and help set up his future success off the field. So the second team I have where Tom Brady could play in 2020 is the Indianapolis Colts. Their offensive weapons, very, very solid. They have T.Y. Hilton, Marlon Mack, Nyheim Hines, Paris Campbell, and Zach Pascal. Not some big-name guys, but solid football players that Brady would probably want to play with. T.Y. is the number one guy, an elite number one receiver when healthy. Age is starting to catch up with him, but again, Brady's only going to be here for, if he was to go on any of these teams, I'm predicting just for 2020. He could stay for longer, but we're just going for 2020. The Colts' offensive line, I think, is their number one selling point. Tom wants to be able to sit in the pocket and throw the football. You need a great offensive line for that to happen. And I think the Colts may have, maybe not just the number one young offensive line, but they may have the best line in football. You have Anthony Costanzo, Quentin Nelson, Ryan Kelly, Mark Lewinsky, and Braden Smith. Maybe the best set in the NFL. Costanzo, the left tackle, is a pending free agent, but they may be able to retain him if they tell him, hey, we may be able to bring Tom Brady in. You never know. Again, the Colts, probably another one of their huge selling points for Brady is their cap space and potential for additions. They have the most cap space in the league. They have 9 draft picks. They have 2 second-rounders. So, again, they have some more ammunition to move around. They have ability to trade for players, take on salary, go sign big names. They have a lot of that potential. And I think Brady would like that, knowing that he could come in there. They kind of construct the roster around him, especially with the front office and coach. You have Chris Ballard. You have Frank Reich. You have some some guys that are really stuck in their position. The Colts are building around these 2 guys, Frank Reich running the day-to-day, and then Ballard building the team. They've had some good success with Andrew Luck, and this season with Jacoby Brissett, the cards they were dealt, they did a pretty good job. The location, lastly, again, I think is the detriment to the Colts. It's in Indianapolis. Superstars like Tom Brady, they don't really want to live in Indianapolis. Again, I could be shocked. He could not mind it. He may like it. But again, I just don't think that'll happen. Him and Giselle, would they really want this power couple worth hundreds of millions of dollars want to move from Boston to Midwest Indianapolis? I just don't see it. The other kind of negative for their location is Brady's greatest NFL rival on the field, Peyton Manning. This is where he played. He has a statue outside of the stadium. I just don't think I could see Brady walking into Lucas Oil Stadium and walking past Peyton Manning, a statue of Peyton Manning. I just don't think he could do that. It just wouldn't happen. But so the number one team I see Tom Brady playing for in 2020 is the New England Patriots, the team he's been a part of for 20 years. He's won 6 Super Bowl championships with. You look at their offensive weapons, probably the detriment to their selling point. There's no more Rob Gronkowski. There's no more Antonio Brown. There's no Josh Gordon. It's Julian Edelman, James White, Sony Michel, N'Keal Harry, and Mohamed Sanu. Again, some people think if you give him another year, kind of get more in tune with Brady, they could be a little bit better, especially N'Keal Harry. He really needs to step up being a first-round pick. But they need to add some more players. They need to add a couple big namers. Guys like maybe A.J. Green they could target. They need to upgrade that receiver room and that tight end position hands down. Their offensive line is solid. I don't think it's at the level of the Colts, but I think it's just below there. They're getting David Andrews hopefully back if his health checks clears well. He had blood clotting issues. Possibly some more additions. They have some other younger players they drafted last year that could be making more of a presence on the team. They have Isaiah Wynn, Joe Thuney, David Andrews, Shaq Mason, Marcus Cannon, hypothetically, as their lineup. Thuney is a free agent. He's pending a UFA, so again, he may not come back. He may leave for greener pastures. You never know. Again, the cap space and additions potential for the Patriots, they have about $50 million to spend. They've shown ability to make big moves. They went and got Josh Gordon, Antonio Brown. They went and signed, so they're showing that they're willing to gamble and risk to try and bring in high-end talent to try and win. Bill Belichick is a deal maker. He's a playmaker. He's a proven track record of bringing in elite talent, either on both sides of the ball, to try and build a winning ball club. Again, front office and coach, Belichick, he's the de facto GM. He runs the show. He calls the shots for the most part. And I think if he wants to bring Tom Brady back, he knows he needs to upgrade the wide receiver position and the tight end position. There's multiple targets, I think, this season that they could be looking at, but definitely I think that'll be Belichick's number one focus. The big other addition is Josh McDaniels staying is huge. He's had a special relationship with Brady. Tom's also been in pretty much the same offense for almost his entire career. I think that's a big bonus. He won't have to learn anything new. It'll all be the same, similar, and he'll be able to just continue learning and getting better at his system. And again, with Robert Kraft, the owner of the team, special bond with Tom, and I think it'd be tough for him to turn his back on the guy that brought him into the league, and they've been together through so much success, adversity, and prosperity. And again, lastly, location. It's Boston. He has been there for 20 years, so he could be thinking he wants to be somewhere else. But you only really have to be there during the football season. So I don't know how much it really plays. But again, it's not LA or Vegas, so that kind of hurts. And his family may want to go look elsewhere and see what else is out there. But if I was to make my prediction of where Tom Brady plays in 2020, I think he'll be a New England Patriot. He'll be suiting up for the team he's been with for 20 years. I think his contract value I would estimate to be about $50 million over 2 years. There'll probably be some bonuses and incentives in place. But I don't think he's going to take top dollar. I think he'll take about $25 million, a little more than they're probably willing to spend on him. But I think to gamble with him, try and win in the twilight of his career, see if he can go out on top with another Super Bowl, I think it's going to be the most drawing point for Tom Brady to come back to be with a winning team that he's won with before.